Okay, so let me set this up for you. This is why the Schumann Resonance is it has like a cult following. It is the coolest data stream and the most interesting data that you could possibly study or follow. And it affects everything. It affects earthquakes, it affects the actual weather, it affects people's moods, it affects everything. Okay, so what's the deal with the Schumann Resonance? Dog, don't do that. So everything, okay, let's start from the beginning. Everything is energy. And you know what energy is? Energy is just a way of talking about waves of vibration, which forms into waves. When you really, really zoom down, all anything is just waves. And those waves become particles, or like they manifest as particles, depending on their density and what their frequency is. So the frequency of the waves determines how we perceive that type of matter, that type of density, those states of matter. So the higher something vibrates, the less and less dense it gets. So the most dense matter vibrates at a very, very low frequency. And this is like our Earth vibrates at a 7.83 hertz frequency. This is the dense matter of our 3D realm. Where we live is such that the Earth, being a carbon-based and it has iron in the middle, that's like the main thing, vibrates at a 7.83 hertz. It emits its own vibration. Every single one of your cells emits a vibration, and likewise your whole body emits a vibration. Everything has its own vibration. If you look on the periodic table of the elements, there are ways that you can tap into what the different vibrations of the different elements are, as if you look at the electrons and the valence electrons and things like that. So, all right, so let's get back. Everything has vibration, right? Everything is vibration. All you are is vibration that appears dense and appears like solid matter to our consciousness. So this is like, we are a receiver for different types of energy, and it goes all the way up and down the scale. So we receive energy in the form of food, and that's the most dense type of energy that we receive. But we also receive energy from the sun, and that's light that we can't see. And there are other, bands of energy. We receive energy when we listen to music. We receive energy when we walk around, especially barefoot. You receive energy from your environment. We exchange energy with each other. So everything is energy and has a vibrational frequency. So not only do your cells have a vibrational frequency, but every single one of your organs has a different frequency. So this is where we're going to look at the brain. The brain actually emits electromagnetic waves that we measure using an EEG. If you have a seizure or something like that, or you have a seizure disorder, or have headaches, you might go to the hospital or to your doctor, and you might do an EEG, which monitors the brain waves coming off your brain. When people are asleep, your brain waves look differently from when you are awake, and your brain waves look differently from when you are in a flow state, in the alpha state, which is a very high frequency. Those are high frequency energies that your brain, or something in your brain emits. And and this is actually the pineal is in conjunction with the pituitary is what emits these pulses. But so we all have a vibration, and the earth vibrates remember I said the Earth vibrates at a 7.83 hertz frequency? Well, our brains, not so coincidentally, vibrate at a 7.83 hertz frequency. And that is actually corresponds to the alpha brain waves, which are the highest one where you're in flow, or you are completely enlightened, or in the Tao where your consciousness is, you are vibrating at a very, very high frequency, which is something like love, or David Hawkins. So David Hawkins is the scientist who made this map of consciousness and the levels of consciousness. And so this is a version that has the colors of the light colors, the light spectrum overlaid. So different frequencies, sometimes we can, you can consume them in different states, or you perceive them to be in different states. Like, so we can perceive dense matter both as like dense waves, like that we can see the light waves, we see the light waves bouncing off those waves, and we can also hear some of those waves and things like, or taste them. There are different ways that we can perceive waves, and so this is like our consciousness corresponds to different states of being that are sort of like emotions, but these are bigger states of being. So these are like a big mindset over more of a long period of time. And there are David Hawkins actually says that people rarely raise more than 2 levels in consciousness over the course of their whole life. So up here at the top, we have enlightenment, peace, joy, and love. And then at the bottom, it is grief, apathy, guilt, and shame. So up here we have enlightenment, love, grief, apathy, guilt, and shame down at the bottom. And right in the middle is courage, and that's the tipping point to where your consciousness moves into a position to where it's vibrating higher and higher. So what this says, so the Earth also vibrates at a 7.83. And you know what? The fact that our brain also vibrates in this mode when we are at our most in tuned is a sign, and should be obvious that it means that we are quantum entangled. We are entangled and trained with the frequencies of the Earth. The Earth actually dictates and tells our body, through its vibration, tells our body and our brains pick up the highest vibrational frequencies of the Earth and correspond those into conscious behavior and conscious thought and conscious emotion. So all species and all beings and all types of matter, every single element has a vibration. And human thought, we and some other types of beings, and like trees and things like that, also have very, very high consciousness, but we have some of the highest consciousness on the planet. And so if we can reach that flow state where we're vibrating at one of these very high levels of consciousness in love, enlightenment, reason, peace, if we can vibrate on those levels, we serve as the thinking component of the Earth. The Earth is a closed system, or as closed as any kind of system is, there's no such thing as a closed system. But the Earth is its own organism, is what I'm trying to say. It has a central electromagnetic field, which the center is at the center of the Earth, and then we have a dark sun that we pull dark energy from, and then we interact with the sun and pull plasma energy off the sun. So as the Earth, which is a vibrating body, vibrating globe that has this vibration at 7.83 hertz, as our planet, the longer that we have been here, or the longer that the Earth has been here, it vibrates faster and faster and faster, because the nature of the Earth is to get hotter and hotter and hotter, which is to say that the vibrations are getting faster and faster and faster. And there's a number of reasons for that, or there's a reason for that I could get into, but I talk about it in some other videos. But it's because the Earth is actually, the Earth has two poles. It's a dipole, which means, I'll just tell you. So this means that so basic electricity, an electric circuit runs and runs and runs and gets faster and faster and hotter until the circuit breaks, and so the Earth is actually also, it has two poles, which have a stream of charged particles running between the two poles, which is exactly like an electric circuit. It is an electric circuit. And so because the Earth is also actually a dipole, just like our bar magnets and things like that, based on carbon-based material that decays, the Earth has been vibrating higher and higher and higher, and when we vibrate higher and higher and higher, you actually are pulling in the equivalent plasma streams, the high vibrational plasma streams off the sun. That's what the Earth is doing. It's pulling off the really high vibrational plasma. And also the Earth has a plasma center. So plasma is this charged, are these charged particles, the charged light particles, that basically electrons that are in a stream. That's what plasma is. That's what our sun is made of. So the Earth pulls in the plasmas from the sun, and our electromagnetic field is also pulling, not only is it pulling inwards, but it also is pulling outwards. And so we are sucking energy off the sun, but then we're also sucking energy out of the center of our Earth too. And it's contributing to this, our electromagnetic field of the planet has just been vibrating faster and faster and faster and faster. And it expands and expands and expands. And as it expands, as we vibrate faster and faster and faster, the human consciousness is able to access higher and higher vibrations, which correspond to higher and higher levels of consciousness. So right now, the Earth is taking in energies that are at this level that is above the threshold of light, of the speed of light. So on this state of consciousness chart, we go from shame all the way up to enlightenment, and above that, that's where it hits the light. That's where you hit the speed of light, and you're then you're no longer subject after that you're no longer subject to the same 3D laws of physics. So this is where we hit the quantum field, and you know what? All of these frequencies are existing at the same time. So there's always going to be visible light while we're in the 3D, because that's the band of frequency which we can perceive, which is the state of matter, which is 3D. But there are all these infinite dimensions of dimensional states of matter that we cannot perceive as with our nose or our ears, or we haven't been able to up until now, because these higher vibrational energies that are coming in off the sun right now, we are getting blasted by these super high level energies. And right now the Earth has finally hit this turning point, and this has been going on. They have been off the charts for the past 10 years, and all these flares that nobody's ever seen as high as that and high as they've been, and then we've been seeing them so commonly and all the time, but it has gotten so intense recently. We've had so many blackouts, which means that the systems get blown out, and they have to do maintenance on them and reset everything, because it's been such high vibrational energy, and it blows out our the data stream, which is taken in Tomsk, Russia, in Siberia. That's where they study it, and there are a couple of other places where they do it too, but that's the main stream. So so they've been, as of a couple days ago, we had the most fundamental shift that has ever happened with regard to the vibration of our planet. And what happens is this electric circuit, which I was talking about, that has this, which is a plasma stream of energy going from the North Pole to the South Pole and all around, that holds our whole Earth together. It creates a magnetism in the middle, and there's an electromagnetic field that holds everything together and keeps us also standing up straight. It pulls out and pulls in at the same time. But so there have been other times in the history of the planet where we have hit this threshold where the circuit resets itself, and we are just at another one of those points. This is what the Aztecs and the Mayans, all these cultures predicted, like, or their maps, their timelines and their predictions, their prophecies ended around at the year 2012. That's like when the apocalypse was supposed to happen. So what actually happened was that's when the Schumann Resonance started blasting off with all this crazy energy. And what it is, we're not going to get burned up. And you know what? The poles are not going to swap this time like they did in other, like 27,000 years ago. The poles swapped when the circuit stopped running, and it blinks out, it goes on the fritz, and the poles restabilize and swap out or go back to where they were. But it creates a huge catastrophic event, and this, major extinctions and things like that, the climate of the planet completely changing, the ice ages, things like that. And this has been going on, this has happened multiple times in the history of the Earth. And this is the first time that we have actually gotten to the point where the Earth has a high enough vibration, a big enough, an expansive enough field, that this time when the circuit goes out, the field is going to hold, and it won't shoot back in. Because what happens when the circuit goes out, that a magnetic center goes on the fritz, and the whole field sucks into the Earth and creates like this, earth shaking, and then the poles swap and you get your field coming back out again. But for everything on the Earth to be disconnected from the field for a split second is just unimaginably damaging, and everyone would die. But that's not going to happen this time, because we've actually hit this is why they were predicting it in 2012. If you study how the stars work and where we were in the universe at different times in the history of the planet, you see that it corresponds to these other times when the poles swapped, and it's part of us hitting the precession, which is our rotation around the central star of the great central sun, the mythical, though not mythical, just it's you can't observe it. There's a central sun where our sun draws energy too, so it's like a similar relationship between our sun and there's a bigger star too. That's not anything that we can. But we rotate around it. It takes 27,000 years, and we're back at the point where last time the poles swapped. And that's what happens every time. But this time we have been on the planet long enough, humans, and we have created enough, the Earth has created enough life and enough consciousness that the consciousness that people and animals and plants are able to generate, the conscious energy. The humans raise the vibration of the energies that come in and make them conscious. So there are energies that are flowing around all the time, but they're not conscious. And when a human can perceive it, that is when you're able to bring down those energies into the 3D and ground them, making them into conscious energies that are accessible to the collective. So that's part of what's happening. We are so this time we have hit this threshold where the Earth's not going to do that thing, and the electromagnetic field is going to morph in its shape, and it's like sacred geometry. That's how electromagnetic fields are shaped, according to how many poles they have. And we are going to our electromagnetic field is going to be held by 144,000 poles on the outside at this point, because each time we've like added a bunch of poles, because the longer that circuit runs, the more and more high vibrational our planet has gotten, and so the more fractalized our electromagnetic field has gotten. So so the Schumann Resonance is a reading. The Schumann Resonance. So if you are a music person, I think I want to say it's the Earth, that 7.83 hertz like corresponds to a C in music, it's crazy because you just don't think about everything has a vibration, meaning everything has a sound. Everything has a vibration, meaning everything has a color, a corresponding color too. And so the Earth vibrates at a C. And as we are expanding in the energy of of the electromagnetic field, the quantum field, as we're expanding into the quantum field, we are actually, what's happening is that we are modulating up an octave, which is like, I think, a really cool way of thinking about it. And if you're not a music person, don't worry about it. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And so this is going to mean that our brains, our nervous systems are. It used to be that you would have to meditate like for years and years and years and do all kinds of specialized techniques, things like Kundalini yoga, which you should do. It's awesome. But things that raise your consciousness above the standard levels, shooting up more than just 3 levels on this chart of consciousness, using meditation. Trauma and abuse can create a transcendental experience like that. I did a natural childbirth, and I had a transcendental experience with that. So there are a lot of ways that you can be awakened. Sometimes people in your soul group can wake you up. People who are in your soul family, which is a way of saying it's other people who have a similar vibration to you, that are complementary, and therefore they're already in train with each other, or they're already entangled. So what's happening is that humans are gaining access to this level of vibration that is higher than what we can perceive. It is higher than the top most vibrations that we can perceive in our wavelengths that we can or frequency that we can perceive in our 3D realm. And what happens after 3D is that it gets to what we call the quantum. So the quantum is our field, and the field of all these vibrations and all these streams of consciousness that are constantly flowing all around the planet. And just like radio waves, you can use a radio and tune into a frequency that's running out there, and you might find some music. Our brains are able to tune into the frequencies and the waves that are all around us, and the higher vibration. And so this is why you get like bad vibes sometimes from somebody, or you get a weird feeling about a certain place or like an activity. This is you picking up on energies. And if the higher and higher the energies go that you're picking up on, where you're drawing from the quantum, these energies, you can draw the streams of consciousness that are detailed thought, detailed knowledge. This is where people who are in the enlightenment kind of track path, vibrating at love frequency, vibrating at a 5D level. This is what's that trying to say? Well, this is what, this is what people talk about, like the Akashic records. That's these conscious streams of thought that you can access just by raising the vibration of your brain, of your nervous system, through yoga, through meditation, which is the reasons that these things work, is that they oxygenate your body, which raises its vibration. So it's all about steadily raising the vibration, which means that you're going up in consciousness, you're feeling better, to be able to rise from a shame-based state of mind, which is basically just full-on depressed, almost like dead in your heart, which there is such a thing as a soul death, which this happens to people when they're extremely low vibration. It's super sad. And sometimes you have one of those and then you're snapped back. I've had that. So I've had that a couple times actually. So you might relate to that. A lot of people have had trauma, have that. So the Schumann Resonance right now, it is maintaining the high vibrations that have been coming in at like this amplitude of 190, which is like, this, take my word for it, this is insanely high. And you look at it in these like beautiful sacred geometrical patterns, whereas it's usually just these splotches of high energy, and you just see these huge white splotches when there's an enormous intake of this energy. And sometimes it blows out the machines and it blacks out for several hours, or it's blacked out for a couple days before. But that just means that we're not able to access those higher levels of frequencies yet. But what's happened in the past couple of days is that we got blasted, and our electromagnetic field of our planet was stabilized enough to be able to receive that high vibrational energy. It has to be in this harmonic, it has to be harmonically compatible. The energy of the field of the planet has to be harmonically compatible with the higher vibrational energies that are blasting off the sun, and eventually it gets entrained on like a rhythmic in a rhythmic pattern. So the earth is now pulsing. Remember when I said we were going to modulate? This is us moving up into that modulation, moving up into being like an octave higher than we have been, which is our brains, our DNA is being activated. Your DNA is just vibration, and our DNA is currently being activated. We have actually 12 strands of DNA, and people act like the rest of it is, besides the double helix, is like junk DNA, quote unquote, and it's not. Like, this is stuff. The reason we don't know what it does is because it's this special types of genetics that are about our relationship with the electromagnetic field and the collective. Things that used to be predominant in our species, where we would be in more of a herd mentality when we were less, or evolved further back. We would be more entrained with the collective field of collective consciousness, and this is where all the peoples, the indigenous peoples, had these deep relationships with the earth, because they were literally relating directly to the electromagnetic field, and their brains were still entrained with the most conscious energy of the planet. So they were thinking on behalf of the earth and also functioning sort of like a wolf pack. But as we evolved, we moved into this moving away from our relationship with the earth, and started, you know, we started agriculture and all these things that moved us into this era of what we call the Kali Yuga. The past 27,000 years that I was talking about is called the Kali Yuga, where it's been all it was predicted to be a very destructive period. And so we've seen a lot of that over the past 27,000 years, and particularly in terms of the conscious aspects of the planet. There has been a lot of terrible conscious energy going around, like terrible manifestations. So the higher vibrational energies, this is going to let you have instantaneous manifestation. We've been getting these higher vibrational energies since 2012. So there have actually been, everybody has been manifesting basically really efficiently without any effort. People don't know what they're doing, and they are creating their lives and creating all these crazy problems because they are inadvertently manifesting from these really low vibrational states. So that's why we've been seeing, that's why, you know, in the apocalypse it's predicted that there's going to be all this chaos and things like that, and there's going to be all these wars, and it's because of the effect of the vibration of the planet on human consciousness, and the fact that everybody has been manifesting like more efficiently than any other time in history, but people don't know they're doing it, and they don't know how. Especially in Western society, we don't acknowledge karma, we don't acknowledge anything remotely quote unquote metaphysical, which is just means theoretical physics, which is you go look at any kind of stuff about quantum physics, and that's what I'm talking about. It really is like so the Schumann Resonance, y'all, let's follow it. I mean, I am so excited about these energies coming in, and us getting into this crazy rhythm. I mean, it's like insane. We're maintaining the highest level energies that had been recorded ever, and just like, if you see it, it just looks like these beautiful spindly stripes that looks like DNA. People have been saying it looks like DNA, and it looks like chromosomes going across to me too. So this was a quick lesson. This was a little lesson in consciousness and the Schumann resonance. I'm sure I'm gonna think of some other stuff that I wanted to add in, but okay, that's all for now though. I'll get back with you later. And yeah, keep hanging out with me, because I love this stuff. This is like my huge passion. Okay, I'll talk to y'all later.